Hello and welcome to the show. Listen, I'm excited because today is Talk with Tammy. We've been talking about this starting this season. It's about being grateful. This is our series, and this year it's all about being grateful. Those are my two words for this year, being grateful. And as I'm thinking about being grateful, what that means to me is that we've got to take care of each other. We've got to thank God for everything that He has given us and all that He's doing in our lives. And so I can't do anything but say thank you. I'm grateful. This week, I'm the guest. So it's Talk with Tammy. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy because we've got some great questions coming up. We'll be right.
The Cecil Williams South Carolina Civil Rights Museum is the Palmetto State's first and only museum. It honors a generation of people, black and white, throughout the state of South Carolina who deserve to be remembered for their unselfish commitments and sacrifices. Enjoy an immersive and entertaining virtual tour. For more information, visit www.cecilwilliams.com.
Hello, everybody. It's Finkley of The Michael Finkley Show, and you're watching Gold right now. Why? You're watching The Tammy Show. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the show. I told you today is Talk with Tammy. The first thing I want to get off my mind is that I want to let you know it's time for you to get out and vote. Remember, early voting starts October the 21st, and it goes through November the 2nd. So I want you to remember that. If you need to do an absentee ballot because you're going to be gone, then do that. If you need to go to the polls early, then do that. You can go to your election office and you can vote. But please, it's so important this year that we stand up and we vote. I can't tell you enough that there's so many issues at stake. There's immigration, there's abortion, there is the Segregation Act, all kinds of things that we need to be aware of and that you need to be thinking about, because otherwise, if we don't, the hands of time are going to be turned back around. And we don't want to be in that situation. And so, I'm just telling you, I'm an AKA, I say any more. I want you to get out and vote. Please. Kamala Harris is our choice. She is the best choice. So I'm taking a stance right now and letting you know that's who I support. And so I want you to get out and vote. Please get out and vote. Take someone to the polls. I can't say enough about it. I also want to pray for those folks that were affected by Hurricane Helene. When that storm came through, we had a lot of wind, a lot of rain, but there's a lot of debris. But there were people who've been without lights for over 3 to 5 days, some without a week. Some haven't had the lights back on yet in certain parts of the Southeast region in the country, especially up in Virginia. Atlanta was hit very hard. Up in Buckhead, I had some friends up there. Hit really hard. And so let's keep them in prayer. And if there's something that we can do to help them, let's try and do that. Okay? All right. So now it's time to talk with Tammy. I asked you in my Instagram and my Facebook posts to send me questions. Those questions would be what you want to know about me. A lot of people ask me, they say I get to interview people and ask questions of them. But has anybody ever interviewed you? Well, I've done this before, but I'm telling you, this year, y'all came with the questions, and they were in my direct messages. And so I want to thank you so much for that. Thank you for all of the viewers that are tuning in and that were able to ask the questions. So first of all, let me tell you who I am. I always say, if somebody comes up to you, who do you say Tammy is? Well, I was born in Charleston, South Carolina. I was adopted by two physicians, medical doctors, Dr. Turner and Catherine McCautry. Very fortunate to be adopted by two wonderful parents. And of course, the woman that gave me up thankful to her because I was raised in a household where my mother didn't take any mess. Now, I'm going to tell you that she did not take any mess. I have a beautiful daughter who is 30, just turned 30 years old, Catherine Victoria Rose McCautry, and I'm very proud of her because she's doing her thing. As we said, it's all about us helping our children and making sure that they are productive and successful in this society. And so she has her own career and she's doing wonderful. And I'm very proud of her. I have a brother, Charles McCautry. I have my nieces and nephew, Shamar and Taylor and Jordan and Maya Jill and Barbara, my sister-in-law. I have my Aunt Cindy, who is 101 years old, my daddy's sister, Cynthia McCautry Smith, my cousins Smitty and his wife Jocelyn, and Craig and Denise and Andrea Wiley. I have a host of friends, my best of friends, my sisters, Alicia and I have my Aunt Zelda. I have my sister Sylvia. I have Cynthia and a host of girlfriends that we are so close to. My cousins Pamela and Debbie and Aunt Jalelia Powell, my Aunt Jill, Anna Martin Carrington. Lord, let me tell you, if I start naming and naming and naming, but a lot of aunts, Elise Amos Goodwin, dear friend, just like a big sister. My big sister Deanna Cheek and my big brother Alan Cheek and Gwen and Donna Waring, Gwen Todd Houston, Dr. Gwen Todd Houston, Deanna Waring, Donna Waring, and so a host of friends and family. If I left anybody out, listen, it's not because I did not remember. You're right here in my heart. A lot of friends and my apostle. I can't forget you, Apostle Vincent Simmons. So anyway, these are people who are special in my life. And of course, Willie, associate producer, Ashley Tucker, graphic artist, and she's the guest coordinator, and Gabby, who is also associate producer, who's just like a daughter to me. And so I wanted to recognize those folks and just say thank you, because without them, this would not be possible. My dear friends, Dr. Michael Finkley of The Finkley Show. And so happy that I have people like this in my life that I can share with, that I can talk with. And so when you say, who is Tammy? I'm a child of God, number one. I'm from Charleston, number two. I'm adopted, number three. And someone asked me, said, what is your most memorable childhood? Well, I'm going to tell you, my most memorable childhood is Christmas time. When I was 3 years old, and I tell this story all the time, and I'm grateful for it. When I was 3 years old, my father noticed that we played with 3 or 4 toys. My brother was 2, I was 3. And he said, okay, Tammy, you like those toys? And of course I said yes. And he said, we're going somewhere and we're going to pack up the toys. We packed up the toys, put them in the car. I'm not going to tell you what kind of car, because if I told you, then you know how old I was. But I'm still young, baby, still young. And we packed up the car. And from packing up the car, we went to a place called Jenkins Orphanage. And there I shared my toys, or I gave my toys away. But I was able to share Christmas with the children at Jenkins, who did not have a mother nor a father, but they had a roof over their head. They had shelter. And my father made that a point to take me there because he said it was so important. He wanted me to realize that there were some children who were less fortunate than I was. And in having done that, that created a sense of me dedicating my life to service, of always taking care of everybody. And my father and I did that until I went off to college when I was 16 years old. And I can tell you that having that, you build those relationships, and we build those relationships to the point that I'm back at Jenkins now, doing some great things at Jenkins, and having the opportunity to be there. And so I'm blessed and thankful that I'm able to do that. And that's my most memorable time in my childhood, is the Christmases, not to mention stuff like family coming over and having dinners and all of that and doing all of that. I want to go back because I just forgot, I just remembered about someone who was very special to me. And the reason I'm here on television today, my big brother and former South Carolina representative, the late David J. Mack III. And David passed away last year. And my big sister Cheryl, you know, I love you. And so Daniel and Brandon and David, I just want to say I love you all so much. But I wanted to mention that because when I was asked the question about what inspired you to start your journey in media, it wasn't that moment then, but David helped me get to this point with the television piece of it. So when I started out, it happened that I went to visit my girlfriend, Yvette George, who's now deceased, in Tennessee. And she wanted me to start this television show with her. She was starting her show. She wanted a producer. And I sat on this set and I didn't like Memphis, Tennessee. So anyway, she said to me, she said, McCatry, you look great, girl. You need to be on TV. And I said, nah, George, that's not for me. She said, listen, I know you can make a difference. And I think you need to think about it. At the same time, I said, well, you've already decided I'm not going to be coming to Memphis to do a show. When I got home, I was a single parent. My father had just passed away, and I promised him that I would make a difference in the lives of others through knowledge and wisdom, however, whatever that meant. And my daughter, one day we were just in the house. She came in the room and she said, Mom, I loved you. I love you. And at that instant, I was a single parent and I said, maybe I can do something talking about single parents. And so I started meeting people. When I tell you God puts people in your way, if it is your destiny, if it's something that's there for you, God puts people in your way. And he did that. He did that through Uncle Jack, who I call Uncle Jack. And he did that through Sam Dennis, the late Reverend Sam Dennis. We did a quick little pilot, and I took it to NBC. They loved it, and they played it. I mean, we started putting the show together. I started talking about single parents and resources that were there. At this time, you have to remember, single parenting was not the thing. I mean, it was like, it was happening. It was there. People were single parents, but you had to learn how to find resources and all that you needed to take care of your children. I met a young lady who was 22 years old. She had already had 6 children. She was struggling. And our kids used to play together in the park. And so I started talking with her. And through that, finding out different things. So anyway, fast forward, Comcast called, said they need a show. They put it on Comcast. Ran it, first show. They called, said, hey, Tammy, we want you to do a show on Comcast. I said, okay, fine. He said, but I'm going to name it Tammy. I'm going to pay you. You don't have to worry about raising your own money to put your show on like you've been doing as an independent producer. I said, where do I sign the check? Where do I sign up? And so anyway, long story made short, I had to get my lawyer out of Atlanta. And of course, my big brother, the late Representative David Mack, I counseled with him and he said, let's do it. Do the show. He said, you'll love it. And we did radio together. And at the same time, I was doing the show and radio together. And so there it is. And now here it is, Tammy, on the YouTube channel. So I haven't stopped, just took a little break for a minute, life situation, going through divorce, these types of things. But here we are now. So it's time for us to take a break. And when we come back, I have a bunch of questions. So I'm going to try to get through them. But anyway, just sit back, relax, and enjoy, because we'll be right back. Thanks so much.
Join the second annual Day of Hope, a free community event, Saturday, October the 19th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., 1455 Monitor Street, North Charleston. Bring hope to families and the unhoused. Guest speaker, the Honorable Mayor Reginald Burgess of North Charleston. Free food giveaways, free resources, free health checks, utility assistance, live music, and a vehicle giveaway. For more information, contact Sonia Hansen, 386-569-4498. That's 386-569-4498.
The Orangeburg County Conference Center supports downtown Orangeburg and our surrounding communities. The 6,000 plus square foot space is ideal for groups of up to 400 people attending corporate meetings, conventions, workshops, and special events. Conference Center staff are inspired to ensure that everyone can enjoy the modern amenities. State-of-the-art ballroom that accommodates up to 400 guests banquet style and 430 guests theater style. A warming kitchen with hot boxes, ice machine, refrigerator, freezer, and counter space. A lobby that accommodates 150 guests with special events outdoors. The comfortable outdoor amphitheater has a video wall and seating. Adjacent to the amphitheater is 12,000 plus square feet of green space that extends events outside, plus complimentary on-site event parking and additional parking across the street. Your event can take place all in one spectacular location. We welcome your special event in Orangeburg.
You're tuning in to the Tammy TV show, and we bringing in that Christian rap heat with Big Geek. What up?
Welcome back. Listen, if you're just joining the show, today is Talk with Tammy. It's just me talking, just sitting here having this conversation because people are always asking me questions. And so I have a lot of questions. Thank you so much. You responded. I mean, huge, in a huge way. So one question. People have asked me, what is your favorite color or colors? So my favorite color is pink and purple, as you see. I love pink and purple. No special reason. Yes, I'm an AKA, but I've always loved it. I think it's because my mother put me in those colors. Why do you wear pink and why do you wear pearls? Well, I always wear pearls because it's a lady. A lady always wears pearls. Has nothing to do with the fact that, yes, I am a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. That has nothing to do with it. It's just that I love wearing pearls. I was born in April. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. And yes, I love to wear my diamonds as well. But pearls makes me feel special. So that's why I wear pearls. Now, I'm going to get into something real heavy. Someone asked me about my mental health. They said, what do you do for your mental health? So I'm going to tell you, when I get to a place where I may be depressed or I have to talk myself off the ledge, because sometimes it gets hard. What I do is I go into my prayer closet and I'm always praying. I'm always talking to God. I'm always reading scriptures and asking God to take me through what it is that I'm going through and what he wants me to get out of that situation, what he wants me to see. There's a lesson that I'm supposed to learn out of every experience. And so I take that and I use that. Yeah, I'm not going to say it's easy. A lot of times when you're in this business, especially, and you have to go after guests, you have to try and find guests, you have to talk to people, you're always in front of the camera or you're always in front of a crowd. It can be a lot, but what you have to do is just find that peace within yourself. And that's what I do. And I thank God for that. I thank God for his word. And I thank God that I can go to him and have that conversation. Now, yes, I do have a mental health therapist, so that will answer that question as well. So when I set up my appointments, believe me, she gets an earful. All right, then we have the other question that says, what are some common mistakes you see people make when they first enter the media world? Well, they think that they're going to make a whole lot of money. And I can tell you, unless you're Denzel Washington, or you are Taraji P. Henson, or one of the others who may have gotten into the business and start making the money, you're not going to make the money. And that's what people do. They don't do it because they love it. Some people do it because they want it for fame. I am in this business because I love talking with people. That was a question that was asked. Why do you do this? Well, I do it because I love talking with people. I love learning about people's experiences and how they got to where they are. Just like me, I can tell you, I've been through divorce. I've been through this. I've been through that. I was a single parent. I got married, got divorced. Then I had this happen and that happened and this. Life happens. And that's what it's all about. But I love hearing how people come out of those experiences and what you can learn from those experiences. People ask me, how do you prepare for a new project or a show? Well, I tell you what, we sit around and we talk, or we're texting. I'm texting Willie and asking him, or he's online looking. And then Ashley and I have meetings and we talk as well about who would be great to come on. Who would people like to see, or who would I like to talk with? And that's how I prepare for the show. I also sit back and I write. We have a run of shows, so I have to write out things. And yes, I do not send questions to guests because I say, if you know your business, if you know your craft, you don't need questions, because what? It's us talking, just like me sitting here on my white couch. It's all about taking time and thinking about the question. And if you know your craft, it's going to come easy. I tell people, I had one friend that came on the show and she said, "Oh, I'm nervous." I said, "Girl, it's just like us sitting at the kitchen table, talking at the table, or sitting in the living room, talking on the couch." Can you describe a particularly challenging experience and how you overcame it? Well, I can tell you, I talk about divorce, and that was challenging. That was very challenging. But how did I overcome it? I overcame it by prayer. That's all I can say. By prayer. Yes, I did come up with a strategy of how I wanted my life to be and what I wanted to see in my life. So I wrote things down. And what does it say in Jeremiah? We've got to write the vision and make it plain. And so having to write those steps down, having to write what my thoughts down, and I have many journals, and having to write those down, that helps me in a lot of ways. What role does storytelling play in your work, and how do you approach it? So as you can see, I love to tell stories. I can tell you stories from my childhood. I can tell you things that happened with me as I was playing with the concert choir and singing with the concert choir at Howard, when I was playing with an orchestra when I was only 11 years old. All of those experiences shape the story. And so I love to craft the stories and tell the stories so that you understand them. But they're real stories, and that's how I approach it. It's just like approaching a dream. You have a dream, and you sometimes, I don't know if you do, but I do. I write my dreams down. I'll wake up like this at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, because I get up at 4 anyway, and I'll wake up. And if it's a dream that is stuck and it's something that I need to know about, I write it down, and then I go back to it. And then, of course, I talk to my big brother, Apostle, Apostle Vincent Simmons, talk with him and say, "Hey, what does this mean? Or can you help me determine?" And a lot of times he'll tell me, you pray and ask God, and God will show you what that dream means. How do you balance your various roles? Okay, so I'm a business owner, television host, producer, media coach, and now an executive director of a nonprofit. So, how do I do that? Very, very carefully. I have to be so organized. And when I say organized, I write down what's happening. So if I'm talking with people, I write down what's happening, what I've talked about, how I'm doing that. But to get my day set up, I take time and I write down what it is that I need to be doing during that time. I spend time on this particular thing and I have to compartmentalize. And that's how I make it through. That's how I balance. Now, I'm not going to tell you it's easy. I'm not going to say that because it is not easy. I have to figure out, okay, is this more important? And I have to prioritize because if I don't prioritize, then I'm going to be all over the place. And you can tell from the way I talk, the way I move with my hands and all, sometimes I am all over the place. But I have to bring myself back in. And in order to do that, I take time and write and organize. So that's how I do that. What are some of the key qualities you believe every effective communicator should have? I think that's a great question. I think you need to have the sense of kindness. You need to be caring. You need to have the ability to listen, because if you're always talking, you're not going to hear what that person is trying to tell you or what is happening in that situation. So you need to be good with listening. You need to be able to write. A good communicator can write as well. You need to be able to articulate your words. You need to be able to speak. And so I tell people, I'm always learning new words, vocabulary words. You're never too old to learn. And listen, I ask God to keep this brain, keep me right in my right mind, because I want to be able to continue learning. I want to be able to continue sharing. And so that's important to me. And as it said, this other question just answered this. How do you continue to grow and develop professionally? So in order for me to grow professionally and to develop professionally, I have to continue to keep my craft going. So that means if I'm reading, if I'm writing, if I'm listening, if I'm attending a conference, those types of things help you professionally. A lot of times, I'm not going to tell you that it's hard, especially getting in this business. It's not hard. I started in this business by myself. I used to raise $3,000 a month to keep my independent show on the air, because that's how much I had to pay as an independent producer to the stations to put my show on. And so I had to raise that money. And that's not easy. That's not easy. You have to stay focused and you have to cultivate relationships with sponsors. You have to cultivate relationships with people so that when you go back, those relationships that you have, people will want to help you. I'm not perfect in any means. I've had some good times, some bad times. I've had some things happen to me, and we all have. We all have had things happen. We all have had things that we've done. We all have made mistakes. But the one thing about it is that we learn from the mistakes, and we are supposed to make sure that we continue to keep up what we know and what we do so that we can share it with others. We want to be able, as I said, I always want to glean what I can from anybody who has the wisdom. And that's what I ask God for, is wisdom. And so I don't know, we're running out. It says, what legacy do you hope to leave in the media industry? But what legacy, more importantly, do you want to leave this world? And all I can say is, I want to leave it better than it was when I started. I want people to be able to say that she was there, that she loved her community, she loved her friends and her family, and she made a difference in some way. I want to be able to say that, hey, there's something here that you can learn as a student. That's why it was so important for me to have student interns. Well, I think we've run out of time. And, I always ask my guests, what's next for you, Tammy? Well, you have to stay tuned to find out. Check out my Instagram account and you'll see that's IG, Tammy McCartry. That's all it is. Facebook, Tammy McCartry, The Tammy Show. You'll see it on Facebook and on IG. 3 words that describe me: lovable, giving, and caring. I want to thank you all for tuning in. This has been great. Talk with Tammy. We have run out of time, and I want to thank you, viewers, for always tuning in to Tammy right here on the YouTube channel, The Tammy TV Show. Next week, we have some great guests coming, and I always hope that you're going to be able to join us. I want to thank my producer, Alicia, my associate producer, Willie. Thank you, Willie. Of course. Please remember, subscribe to the Tammy TV Show, the YouTube channel. Let's be a blessing to somebody today and every day. Get on the phone and call that person to make sure that they're okay. All right. Thank you again for joining this show. And until next time, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.